Why is it that every time New York opens, you either miss the move or get stopped out before it runs? If that sounds like you, it's not because you're a bad trader. It's because you're looking at the session the wrong way. Most traders come into New York session thinking it's all about catching entries. But the reality is, New York is engineered to trap traders first, then deliver the real move. And if you don't understand that, you'll keep getting caught on the wrong side of it. In this video, I'm going to break down exactly how to trade indices during the New York session using a structured, process-based approach, so you can stop chasing price and start anticipating it. Welcome back to my YouTube traders. This is Phase 3, and we're going to just get right into it. All right, guys, so the indices that I focus on are US 30, NAS 100, and SPX 500. Now, these instruments open up at 9:30 a.m. Eastern Time. I don't trade the indices before the New York session opens up because you are more likely to get liquidated, meaning you'll get stop hunted because usually at 9:30 there's a huge spike that happens, or they're trying to stop hunt traders in the wrong direction so they can go in the right direction. Okay, so I like to wait until that 9:30 a.m. candle closes, and then I'll look for opportunities to enter. Now, there's also a thing called 10 a.m. club, and 10 a.m. club is designated for the real move. It's usually prices going in the true direction by 10 a.m. club, or it's just starting that actual setup for that true direction. Okay, so you'll likely see pullbacks or just a move just starting to happen around 10 a.m. club. So it's usually the safer entry. Okay, so you can always bet on 10 a.m. club. Now, at levels, I look for behavior. Now, the levels that I look for are the previous day's high, low, and closing price, the previous week and month high, low, and closing price. Okay, so at these levels, I'm looking for some type of reaction. Okay, now there's also other levels like the high of day, the current high of day, and the current low of day. Now, if I'm trading off of a current high of day or low of day, then I'm looking for nail and bail opportunities. I'm just going to say N and B. Now, that just means that if I don't breach the previous day's high or previous day's low, and I'm trading technically in the inside, and I'm using high of day levels, then I might take it from the high of day to the low of day. Okay, and vice versa. If I'm trying to take it from the low of day, I'm taking it from the low of day to the high of day. So there'll be nail and bail opportunities. Sometimes you'll get high of session and low of session opportunities. High of session, low of session. Again, nail and bail opportunities. So we're basically trading in the inside of a range, but I can take it a nice quick scalp or just a quick little entry from the high of session to low of session, vice versa if you're looking from the low of session to the high of session. Okay, so again, there are more entries, but it's just about what you're comfortable with and what you only want to see, because again, you choose to enter the market. Nobody is pressing the button for you. You press the button for you. So you need to create a set of rules so that you're comfortable in pressing that button and following your plan every single time without hesitation. Okay, so those are the levels that I trade from. Now, at these levels, like I said, I'm looking for behavior of price. Now, Stacey creates a foundation for you guys. Okay, he does not teach you how to trade. He doesn't teach you how to trade, okay? So what I mean by that is that he can tell you a strategy. He could tell you what setups to look for and what reoccurrences happen in the market. But it is up to you to know exactly how a trend works. What happens in an uptrend? What happens in a downtrend, right? What happens when we're ranging? How do we spot ranges and trends? Okay, so that is up to you to know how to identify market structure. But if you don't, then today's your lucky day, because we're going to talk about that in this video. Now, there is a such thing called the box. And what the box is let's say we have a swing low and a swing high. Now, this swing low and swing high sets a box, okay? So inside this box, price can just be doing whatever it wants, but until it reaches an actual level. So let me make this another color. So when it reaches an extreme, that is when we're looking for our trade. But we are not looking for it in the middle, okay? That is not what we're doing. So We're waiting all the way up until it reaches either the high or the low, the swing high or the swing low. But if we're trading in the inside, then we're just looking at market structure. Is it creating higher highs? Then we're trading to the high, to the extreme. If we're making lower lows in the inside, then we're trading to the extreme, which is the low, the swing low, okay? But everything in the inside is not relevant until you get to an extreme. Mind you, this is why Stacey talks about the previous day's levels, because it's nothing but a box. So when you get to the previous day's high, when you get to the previous day's low, that's when true higher highs and true lower lows are created, which shifts the market, which shifts market structure, okay? So again, you can either be in a trend situation or a reversal situation. Now, what do I look for in a trend situation? There are two variations. We have an uptrend and we have a downtrend, okay? So in an uptrend, in variation 1, I'm looking for a break and retest, okay? I'm basically looking for a higher high to be created, higher high. It will dump down to the breakout level, okay? And give us a nice retest entry coming off of that retest for the continuation to the upside. Variation 2, let's say we pull back, but we pull back a little bit farther, but we also get a higher low entry, meaning that I'm getting in once this low is confirmed and it pulls back, right? Once it pulls back to that low and gives us an entry to the upside, I'm entering. I won't enter here. I will not enter here, but I will enter here because now this low has been confirmed. So I'm usually getting in at higher lows or I'm getting in at the breakout level. So let me just write this down. Breakout level or higher lows. That's where I'm entering, okay? Vice versa, if we're looking at downtrends. If we're looking at downtrends, again, I'm taking break and retest trades. I'm getting in at the lower highs, right? I'm breaking out, pulling back, trending. Remember, price can only do 3 things after it breaks out. It's going to break out, pull back, trend, break out in reverse, or range, okay? So that I like to just keep that scenario. Again, it can either do this or it can retest lower highs, and I'm looking for entries here, okay? So I'm either entering off of a lower high or I'm entering off of the breakout level, lower high or breakout level. And that's what I'll look for in a trend situation because the market does that all the time. And that's just me following the thesis of breakout, pullback, trend, breakout, reverse, and range, right? So again, we can also have reversals, right? So let's say we're looking at a sell. Now, in order for us to look at a reversal or to see a reversal in a sell situation, we need to see an uptrend turn to a downtrend. So how does that happen? Now, we need to see a fail first. Number 1, we need price to fail at a high, okay? That is key because that is going to switch direction from that uptrend to a downtrend. And when we see a higher low that fails, we draw it across because likely that is a retest area, okay? So when you see a higher low that fails, draw it across, right? Because that is your break of structure level. So we'll just say this is BOS, break of structure. So once we see that higher low that fails, a lot of the times price will break down. This is a breakdown. And what I like to see is price break down and show lower lows in the inside. So once we fail, we break down in the inside of this uptrend. Now we failed at the high. We break down and create lower lows, right? And then we pump up where to the break of structure level and then continue on that downtrend, okay? So just to reiterate, I am just looking for a break of structure. Well, let's start from the beginning. I'm looking for a fail at the high. Once it fails, I need to draw that higher low that failed across. Now I need to see lower lows in the inside of where we pumped from. And then once we get the lower lows, I'm waiting for the lower lows in the inside to start my pump and dump pattern. Here is your entry, okay? So this is a sell situation. Now let's look at a buy. Now, if we're in a buy situation, we're looking for a downtrend to turn to an uptrend, right? So how does that happen? We need to see a lower high fail, okay? So it fails here, right? After we see the lower high fails, we draw it across because it is likely a retest zone. This is just break of structure level being retested, and I will wait for the higher high to start my move, a dump down, and then pin hammers and engulfings here, right? Or some type of coil in the continuation up, right? So that's usually what I'm looking for. Now, let me show you some examples on the chart. All right, guys, so this is US 30. And as you can see on Monday, I just want you guys to follow me as far as market structure goes, okay? So on Monday, we had a 3-day short signal the previous day. So what I'm looking for is a false break at the low because I'm looking for buy opportunities, right? During Monday. I don't trade Mondays, but that's what I would be looking for, okay? So we break out of the previous day's low, we pull back, and then we fail. Now we're going back up in the inside. We're creating a little structure here and there, but then we make a high, we pull back, we fail at that high, and then we go lower, okay? And then we close in the inside of the previous day's range, okay? So what I gathered from this day is that we false broke the low here. We pulled back in the previous day's range. We made a high, and then we locked in that high with an M pattern, and then we made a lower low and then closed in the inside, right? So again, all of this is happening inside the previous day's range. We false broke, and then we created market structure in the inside, higher highs, right? So the next day, if I wanted to take buy trades because I seen this false break at not only the previous day's low, but the previous weekly low, then I'll be looking for some buy trades because we're down low, right? So just following market structure, Tuesday opens up, we test that low again, but we fail. Now we pump up through Asia session and breach the previous day's high and make a higher high. So when we breach the previous day's high, that is a higher high, and we're looking for dump and pump moves, okay? So again, this is nothing but a box, but look more closely. We have now a swing high and a swing low, okay? So let me just erase the chart a little bit so you guys can see exactly what I mean by this. Now, I now have a swing high and a swing low on the day, okay? So what I'm looking for is for price to make a higher high so that I can take a dump and pump move during New York session, okay? So after we make this high in Asia, we dump back down, we make this low, and then we start just kind of going sideways. We test this low again. We don't quite get there. So if I'm just moving this, let me make it more accurate. We don't necessarily get to that high yet in the London session. We go down, we pull back, we test that low again. We're still in the inside of that swing high, but then we're just making market structure, all right? So again, look where I am. This is my true swing low, and this is my true swing high. We are still in the inside of the range, okay? If I want to see a higher high or a dump and pump, which is my setup, then I'm looking for a higher high to be created, meaning I need to see this high breached. I need to see price go up out of this box and create a higher high so that I can buy low, right? So again, I'm just following the market structure. After we hit the low again, notice that this area here is making support. It's not going any lower than this. So we pump up again, and now, lo and behold, we have a higher high here, okay? So let me just erase this a little bit so you guys can see what I'm talking about. Now I have a higher high, and this is right before New York session opens up. This is my higher high. Now I scroll down. New York session is about to open up, right? So now this is my 3-minute chart. I usually look for entry on my 3-minute chart, and I have my high and my low marked up. So what am I looking for here? I am not looking for these little teeny movements in the inside of the range. What I am looking for, if I'm looking to buy after we just created a higher high, I'm looking for buy low opportunities, okay? Now, that doesn't mean you can't sell here, because if I'm going to sell, I'm going to sell high, right? And if you look, New York session kind of just offered us the nail and bail opportunity, which was the high of session to low of session. But that's not the true move. If we were looking on our 15-minute chart, we were creating higher highs and higher lows, and we were also creating a level of support, which is this red line here. So I'm not looking to chase the sell. I'm looking to chase the buy. And if I'm going to buy, I'm going to buy the higher low. Okay. So as soon as price gets back down here, I'm looking for pin hammers and engulfments coming from the low. If I'm not getting in here, then I'm waiting for another higher high. And look, this low is now beaten by this high. Now it's a higher high in the inside of this dump. Okay. So now that I know I have a higher high in the inside and also have a higher high that has started the trade, we had the higher high, we dumped down to the low, right? If you didn't enter here, we also went up higher. After hitting this low, we pumped up, we broke a level of resistance here, right? In the inside. Now we have a higher high in the inside, okay? So after we get the higher high in the inside, we dump back down, we coil, and we pump. Trap and shift to the upside. And that is exactly what I'm looking for. So just to keep this super simple, if I'm going to buy, I'm going to buy here. If I'm going to sell, I'm going to sell here. But if I'm trying to follow market structure, I am just going to buy because we are already making higher highs. That's starting the trade. Higher high starts the trade. You look to buy low at higher lows or break and retest levels, okay? Not only that, but after we make this higher high in the inside, look where we're coiling at. We're coiling at the previous day's high at a level. So price can only go in one direction, okay? So this is just an example of a nice trend trade that you could have taken, okay? So let's look at another example. Here we have NAS 100, okay? So this is an example of a nice reversal trade, right? We have a close and breakout signal the day before. So as the day opens up, which is Thursday, which is typically range expansion day where you'll see reversals happen, we have a dump happening in Asia session, right? So we dump down, and then we break the previous day's low, okay? So I actually see two setups here. There's a sell setup here and there's a buy setup here. So I'm going to explain to you the sell setup first, okay? So we break the previous day's low and we make a lower low. Now follow me as far as market structure goes. We dump down. We break the previous day's low, which we now have a low established. Now we're pulling back, okay? Now we're at a level. We're at a level, the previous day's low. Now, what am I looking for? Pin hammers, engulfments, a coil, anything that will signify that we're about to switch direction and continue to the downside. Now, let's go to the 3-minute chart. Now, we already established that this is a lower low. We have our dump that's happened here, okay? So once we pull back, which is here, I am literally looking for a trend back down. Now, this is if I'm looking for a sell setup. If you're looking for both setups at the same time, then you're going to take anything and everything. And I highly suggest that if you want to be disciplined, then you stick to one setup. But nevertheless, we pump up to the level. Out off the rip here, you can see we get an engulfing candle. Let me zoom in a little bit. You get an engulfing candle, bearish. That is your first entry. But me personally, I like to wait for confirmation. Now, as I stated, you can either be in a trend situation or a reversal situation. This is a reversal because we now have a trend up. Okay, we have a trend up to the level. So if I want to see this uptrend turn to a downtrend, I need to see this higher low fail. It needs to fail. This does not fail here. This does not fail here, but it does fail here. Okay, now we have a lower low in the inside. Now, after I see the breakdown, this is the breakdown. Once we have defeated this low, we break down and make a lower low. Now, once we have a lower low in the inside, that starts the trade pattern, okay? So now we're just looking for a retest. Now look at this. After we confirm that this high has failed and we've broken down, we are literally marking the low that it broke, okay? So after it created this consolidation, you mark the low of that consolidation, it breaks down, creates a lower low, we pump back, retest, entry off the engulfing candle, okay? And you take the trade down, right? So that is simply all I'm looking for. And this is on a 3-minute chart. So there was a nice little sell here, right? But now notice this. Notice this. After we start to trend down, we now break this lower low. Notice this. Everything that happened from here to here, all of this is in the inside. The only thing I'm looking for in the inside is the breakdown, the lower low, to take my trade to an extreme, which is usually where the pump started, or maybe I'll try to scale and try to like get more out of that trade. But usually my take profit is where the pump started. Now, we already know that this was our true lower low after we broke the previous day's low, right? So when we break this swing low, now we have another lower low, okay? So remember, when we break out, price can only do 3 things: breakout, pullback, trend, breakout, fail, reverse, or range. We break out, we pull back, okay? Now look what's happening. Remember, guys, this was our swing high and swing low, and we had broke out of this low initially, okay? Just keeping that in mind. So if this is my swing high and this is my swing low, and we break out, pull back, and then we start to fail, we never get back here, and then we go back up in the inside and create a higher high, what is that the recipe for? Higher high equals dump, coil, and pump. And if you notice, right, again, this is a reversal situation, right? So once I have a lower high that has failed, I draw it across because it is likely a retest zone for the trade pattern, for a break of structure level to be retested, okay? So we make this higher high right at 9:30 open. We wait for this 9:30 candle to close. It dumps down and it coils at that break of structure level. Not only that, but again, if we're looking for a reversal to the upside and we're looking for this to trend, right? We already had the fail. So once it makes this higher high, it's just retesting that higher low created, okay? That's what an uptrend will do. It will retest higher lows and it will retrace the breakout level, okay? So you see the coil at the higher low and at the break of structure level, take the trade. There's no reason why you shouldn't take the trade, okay? So this was a nice example of a buy setup and a sell setup, just in two different sessions. You had a sell setup here, you had a buy setup here, both reversal trades, okay? So I just want to show you guys one more example. So here we have SPX 500, and we had a close and breakout signal the day before. So naturally, this is Friday. I'm looking for some continuations or some reversals, right? But in this case, we had a nice continuation pattern. This is usually a trend trade setup, okay? So just following market structure on the day, we start going sideways through Asian session. We try to break out, we pull back, but we fail in London, okay? After we fail, we reverse back in the true direction, which is the downtrend. We breach the previous day's low, which is a lower low, okay? Lower low, pump and dump, just a continuation of that trend. Now, this is just me following the market structure and drawing it out, okay? This is what happens right before New York session starts. Now, look at this. we already have a retest of that low that was broken. But let's just keep following it. So then after this lower low is created, we then pull back and then continue in the true direction through New York session, okay? So it isn't until after New York session that we pull back again and get another pump and dump trade. But look at these highs. They are not being invalidated because that is what a downtrend does. It should not invalidate the lower highs. So if I know what situation I'm in, I'm able to take the trades from the right places, okay? So again, this is just this is the 3-minute time frame, and you're going to see a lot more noise, but if you just draw it out, it makes things a lot easier, okay? Because everything in the inside is fugazi, basically, as Stacey would say, because it's not until price breaks out of a low that we actually are in business, okay? So again, once price breaks out of a low, I am looking for retest entries. As you can see, we get one here and we get one here. Don't think about entering the candles. Think about entering off of the level. The level is the most important part. You're just trying to get a fill as close to that level or on that level, and that's it. That's all you have to do, okay? So when we break out of a low, we'll pull back and we'll trend. Lower low, pull back, trend. Lower low, we're in the inside. We're not up high yet. I'm not selling until we get here, okay? Because that's where the level is. So if we break out of a low, we're likely to pull back, retest, and continue to go. But let me show you this. Now, once we get here, all I'm doing is looking for pin hammers and engulfings, okay? So if I'm in a trend continuation, I'm not going to try to sell here. Why? Because we did not breach a low yet, okay? Once we breach a low, what's my automatic thought process? I'm going to pump up first, okay? So just let's clear this off and let's just go through this one more time. Because if this is my low, then I really only get one entry during New York session, which is here after the 9:30 candle closes, okay? So once this 9:30 candle closes, we make another lower low. We pump back up. This is your first entry. If you didn't enter here, you're waiting for another lower low. Now we have another lower low. Am I going to enter low? No, I'm not. I'm going to wait for a retest. And we're either going to retest where we broke out of, which is here, or we're going to retest the most recent lower high. So we make this low. I'm waiting. I'm not trying to enter here. No, I'm in the middle of nowhere. I need to be either here or here. And this is just the breakout level. And this is the lower high level, okay? In a trend scenario. So then we break back out, but we fail at this low because we're looking to pump up first. Okay, so it's going to look like a mini uptrend. But all I'm doing is waiting to get here. If I'm not selling here, then I'm waiting to sell here at the levels. Don't think about the candles. Think about the levels. You literally get a retest entry here. You get a retest entry here. Or if you didn't enter a New York session, you also get a retest entry here. Okay, 3 areas where you could have entered. And it's all about entering at the level and not getting confused about every single candle. All right. So that's basically all I wanted to show you guys today. Just remember, if you don't know market structure, it's going to be really hard for you to grasp the Stacey Burke concept. Okay. So again, follow your rules. One setup. That's all you need is one setup. Study it. Memorize it. If you don't know how to memorize a pattern, look at my pattern recognition video on YouTube, okay? Other than that, guys, I hope this gave you a lot of clarity. If you want to see somebody trade live, I trade live Tuesday through Friday during the week. All right, you can see me trade live and analyze these patterns and take trades. So if that's something you're interested in, I have a free 3-day trial. In my bio, you can see the link and sign up for that. You can also sign up for one-on-one sessions if you need a little bit more personalized help. But other than that, guys, I hope this video helped you guys out a lot, and I'll see you on the next one.